Okay, now next what we want to do is we want to build out the structure for our main navigation menu. Okay, now just before we do that, just a quick look at my code here. What I did here, and I hope this makes things a little bit easier for you, is I spaced things apart a little bit for you. So I threw in a little bit of space there above the slideshow and above and below the content boxes and so on, just to try and break it up for you visually inside the code view. This is just fine if you want to do something like this, but in the real world, we want to start to collapse a lot of this white space. So really, this is more for instructional purposes, I guess. More importantly, though, it's our main navigation menu that we're after that we want to go and build now. So go ahead and find your nav element, your nav HTML5 element, and go ahead and drop your cursor in between your two nav tags there, the opening and the closing nav tag there. And I'm just going to hit enter a couple of times. There we go, something like this. Now, this is going to require quite a bit of code to get this to work. I want to get started here by typing out the actual menu items themselves, which of course we already set up over inside Photoshop. Okay, so let's try and zip through this fairly quickly because we already know what our main navigation items are. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to type in home and I'll hit enter. The experience, there we are, being careful not to make typos, tickets and rates, and we have our location. All right, there we go. Online store, we're getting there. Visitor comments, there we are, and contact us, okay? And again, if you want, you could refer back to your layout inside Photoshop if you want. So we just retyped out all these guys, okay? I suppose we could have copied and pasted them out of our Photoshop layer. But in any regard, there we go. There's our main navigation items. All right. Now, where it starts to get a little bit more confusing, a little bit more involved, a little bit more intricate, is we want each of these guys to be a bulleted list item. Okay. I know that sounds kind of wacky if you've never done this sort of thing before, but our main navigation menu is actually going to be a list, a bulleted list. Okay. But it's not going to look like a bulleted list. It's going to look like a navigation menu. So here's what I'm going to do. Above the list of menu items, I'm going to type in open angle bracket UL for unordered list, or what you and I would call a bulleted list. And then this closing UL tag, I'm going to move that guy just by cutting them and pasting them down towards the bottom of the list of items that we have there, just like that. Great, perfect. All right, now the next thing that I want to do is I want to set it up so that each of our items is what's referred to as a list item inside our unordered list. Okay, so before the first guy here, home, I'm going to go open angle bracket LI, close angle bracket. That's a list item, okay? And then after home, I'm going to have to close that list item by going open angle bracket /LI, close angle bracket, just like that. Okay, so we need to do that for each of these guys, okay? Luckily, through the magic of copying and pasting, we can speed this up some. So go ahead and grab your opening list item tag there, and I'm just going to copy them, Control-Command-C, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste them in front of each of my menu items like so. And then I'll do the exact same thing for the closing tag. Grab him and copy him from home, and then paste him after each of the other main navigation menu items, just like that. All right, so things are starting to shape up here. Now, the other thing that I want to do, and there's going to be a little bit more HTML here, the other thing that I want to do is I want to make these list items or these menu items clickable, because in the real world, they would actually take us to subpages inside our website, right? So we'd have a page called The Experience. We'd have a page called Visitor Comments and so on. So I want to make these guys clickable, but we actually haven't gone and created any subpages, not yet anyway. So what I'm going to do is, this is kind of a neat little trick that you can do, is I'm going to set these guys up to give the appearance and the formatting and the illusion of a hyperlink, but they're actually not going to go anywhere. This is called a null link, by the way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my cursor before the H in home. I'm going to go open angle bracket A space href. Okay, this is how we code a hyperlink. Equals, and then in quotes, I'm going to put in a number sign or a hash mark, just like that. Okay, and then don't forget to close your angle bracket. that turns home into a hyperlink. But I've got to close that hyperlink by dropping my cursor after the word home, and then I'm going to go open angle bracket /A close angle bracket. All right, so now home is going to behave as if it were a hyperlink, but because we've set it to a hash mark or a number sign, it's not actually going to take us anywhere. So we have to go and repeat that now for all of our remaining list items. So once again, through the magic of copying and pasting, I'm just going to quickly go and duplicate this out, something like this. Okay, there we are. And I'm going to go and close off each of my hyperlinks as well. I've got to remember to do that. Again, just copying and pasting here. Okay, so as you can see, it does take a little bit to get the entire navigation menu structure in place. We have the unordered list. Each of our menu items is a list item, and then each of our list items is also a dummy link or a null link. All right, now if you want to save up your work and go and take a look at your browser, it isn't very exciting at all. If you go and refresh, there's all of your navigation menu items. They're all appearing inside a bulleted list vertically, and they're all blue and underlined, suggesting that they are all hyperlinks. And of course, my cursor changes to the pointer there when I move my mouse over top of them. Okay? So there we go. We're getting started. We're getting there. There's a little bit more in terms of the structure for our HTML that we've got to look after before we can start getting into some CSS and the formatting of our HTML. So let's keep moving.